Hey, everybody. I want to welcome you to the first episode of Bring Out the Woman podcast. I am your host, Pastor Quionne, and I am just so excited that you are with me. This podcast really comes from a scripture in Joshua 6, verse 22, where Joshua goes in and he says, Go get Rahab the harlot and bring out the woman. So, in one instance, she's labeled, right? She's a prostitute. But when he says bring her out, he says bring out the woman. And so, this podcast was birthed out of my pain, out of going through betrayal, just breakthrough different areas of my life where I needed to come out from behind the wall, to come out of hiding. And so, although the words in that scripture were spoken about Rahab, what I believe is prophetically, God is calling his daughters out of hiding. So, if you feel like you've been trapped behind a wall, that you've been hiding from yourself, it's time for you, the real you, to be revealed to you. Isn't that something? And that's something that I had to go through. So, this first episode, I'm not going to go deep into the story of Rahab. I'm going to kind of hit some highlights. The next episode will break down and really talk about her a little more in detail. But I wanted to just point you to that verse, and I want to read it in your hearing. Joshua 6:22. And this is the New King James Version. It says, But Joshua had said to the two men who had spied out the country, Go into the harlot's house, and from there bring out the woman and all that she has. It was a decision that led to this moment for Rahab, that she decided that she was going to help the spies and hide them. And by her doing that, it was just an act of faith. It was an act of faith, trusting in a God that she did not know. She had heard about God. She had heard about, him performing the miracle of parting the Red Sea, of helping the children of Israel defeat so many enemies. And so by the time, before they even arrived in Jericho, the people of Jericho had already heard about this God. And what Rahab said was, I'm not going to let my label, I'm not going to let my profession stop me from this moment. So what she did was she stepped into legacy and said, I will help you if you help me. She leveraged her information. She leveraged her location. She lived in the wall because Jericho was a fortified city. And when people are marginalized like she was, a lot of times those walls, the people who are part of that kind of cohort where we kind of push them off to the margins of society, they are the first people to get hurt, the first people to experience poverty, danger, right? She was in the outer wall, and that outer wall, whenever there was an enemy, that is where the first attack occurred. But she said that night, I am going to trust in a God I do not know, but I've heard about him. So I want you to consider that wherever you are in your life at this moment, I want you to really start thinking about where you can come out of. Maybe you're hiding behind divorce. You're hiding behind a health crisis. You're hiding behind brokenness, maybe rejection. Whatever it is, I hear God saying, bring out my daughters, because he has something for you to do. Yes, you, not just me, but you also. And so I wrote a book. It's called You're in Danger, Girl. And I go through just a time in my life where I needed to come out of hiding, where I needed to step out of my pain. Because one of the things that I was doing, I was using self-betrayal, and I was using performing strength. I don't know. I know a lot of us feel like we are superwoman, like we can handle it all. But what happens is we realize as we're going that we can't, right? Something is going to fall by the wayside. Something is not going to get done. And when I was really just surviving off of the fumes of my life, there was a time where a critical time in my life where it was a health crisis that brought me out behind from the wall. Because at that moment, My A1C was high, my blood pressure was high, my cholesterol was high, and I was just a shell of myself. But I was performing though. I was performing at work, I was performing in church, I was doing all the things. But the one thing I wasn't doing was taking care of me. And so that is why I believe that God told me to start this podcast to kind of get the message out that we need to come out from behind these walls that sometimes that we've built, right? That these false things that we tell ourselves, girl, you can have it all. Yeah, you can have it all, but it comes at a cost, right? It comes at a cost. Something is going to fall by the wayside if we're not pouring into ourselves, if we're not really being honest about where we are. So I want to go over some highlights that we can draw from Rahab's story that should be able to bless you, that will encourage you, because this is a safe space. I want you to know it's a safe space. It's a space where you can come, you can get inspiration, you can get information. I want you to leave here encouraged. I want you to leave here ready to be able to come from behind the wall. So let's walk through a few of the points in this story. So one of the things that I want to point out was that even though Rahab, she lived behind the wall or in the wall, I want you to imagine had herself set between ruin and redemption, right? Because the city of Jericho was going to be destroyed, right? And so at that moment, she's teetering between, am I going to be ruined, or if I'm going to take a leap of faith and be redeemed? And have you ever been in that situation where you're caught in between maybe two decisions? One decision can lead you down to something that can ruin your life. But if you take a leap of faith, if you trust, if you do the hard thing, because usually it's a hard thing, you're stepping out on faith, you're saying, I'm going to get myself healthy, I'm going to cut myself off from this relationship that is no longer serving me, right? She made a decision that she was going to go for redemption. And when you think about it, she was really turning herself away from her own country, right? She's part of this community, but there was something in her that said, I need to do something that not only saves me, she said, but remember my mother, my father, my brother, my sisters, everyone connected to her. If I leverage the information that I have, my location, she's in the wall, she's a prostitute. None of that stopped God from visiting her because God knew her address. He knew where she was, just like God knows your address. And it doesn't matter what label you have, right? You could have been a teen mom. You could be a recovering addict. You could be someone who went through a divorce like myself. And the society will label you and put that label on you as a way to kind of keep you stuck. But what she did, she said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use this opportunity. But her location didn't stop her. So I don't want you to let where you are right now in your life, whatever you're going through, this too shall pass, right? And think about something that you can do that will move you from one decision to the next. Instead of being ruined, instead of my life falling completely apart, I can make a decision that can turn this to a redemption story. So just like God knew Rahab's address, God knows where you are too. The promise included her, right? And so her past didn't cancel her future, right? Who she was, what she did, it didn't cancel the future that God had for Rahab. The only person that can cancel your future is you. Is what? Do you believe the lies? Do you believe the things that society says? Or sometimes I battle with the things that I thought about myself, right? Like feeling rejected. I felt like I was labeled, that I could never get beyond that. Now I'm going through a divorce. How are people going to look at me? How is it going to be perceived? What are they going to say? And we will battle with those things instead of looking at it as an opportunity. Yes, this is where I am right now, but this is not my final destination. And it's not your final destination. It wasn't Rahab's final destination. And maybe you've stayed in a place too long, a place that drains you. Have you ever just been in a situation for a long time, but it's because you're familiar with it and you know, right? It becomes even dysfunction can become normal to people. How do I know? Been there, done that. Stayed in a relationship too long, worried about what people may say, worried about the impact that it may have on my children. And those things are self betrayal because at the end of the day, you have to do what feeds and nourishes you. And sometimes that's making the hard decision to disconnect yourself from things that's no longer giving you life, right? And there are ways, of course, where things can come back together. But even if they don't, are you willing to take that leap of faith to extricate yourself out of a situation so that you can get the help you need, so that you can get some new life breathed into you, right? That's what self care is. That's what rest does. It resets you. And so that is what Rahab did. Although the promise didn't include her, it didn't exclude her either. The promise was for the children of Israel, but here she comes intercepting, saying, hold up, wait a minute. I'm going to hide you. And if I hide you, I've heard about your God and I know what he can do. And if he did it for you, he could do it for me. But don't leave out my family also. So she brings herself into legacy to extend even beyond her own self. What is it that you could do that you could say, I'm not taking this anymore. I am going to stand up for myself that it can impact your children for future generations. There is something, right? Instead of just saying, I'm it, this is where I am, this is where I'm always going to be. But it never is an ending unless you say that this is it. You have the power to change your situation. But you have to be like Rahab and say, I'm going to take a leap of faith and I'm going to do something that gets me out of this situation, right? So your faith can reroute your family. Your faith alone can reroute your family. It can reroute your way of thinking. It can change your perception. It can give you something that you never even imagined before just by stepping out. So God is not ashamed of your past. And if he's not ashamed of your past, why should you be ashamed of it? It's part of your story. It's what makes you you. And that's what I had to start realizing. It's my secret sauce. It's what makes Quionne Quionne. And it's all of it, the good, the bad, honey, the ugly, the trauma, all of it. As long as I know that I'm healing and I'm moving towards being healed, I know that God is going to do something big for me, just like he will for you. So when Joshua said, bring her out, it just wasn't about Rahab, right? I said that earlier. It was a call, right? It's a prophetic call saying, I need all of my daughters to come out of hiding. You know, if you realize that women still today, even in the workplace, we make statistically less than men. We could do the same job. We still struggle in some inequalities. We still struggle even in the church with women being recognized as being leaders, pastors, right? People still argue about that, like that a woman could mount the pulpit and be used by God. But I hear God saying in this hour, he needs all his daughters to come out of hiding. So what labeled you, I don't care where you are right now in your life can be turned around, transformed by one decision, just like Rahab did. So he's saying, I want to bring out the healed woman. I want to bring out the whole woman. I don't care how you went in. All God wants to do is know how he can transform you on your way out, right? And so on my way in, I was raising my children, I was working, I was doing all those things, but not fully walking in the purpose that God gave me before I was placed in my mother's womb. And so my life was not going the way it should have went, right? And there were pain, there was trauma, there was rejection, there was betrayal. I told you there was loss, right? Health crisis, all these different things. But the moment that I said, yes, I'm going to yield to God. I'm going to give God an eternal yes. Now, who comes out? The healed Quionne, the freed Quionne, the liberated Quionne. Oh, the Quionne that is resolute. I know who I am. I know the word that I stand on. I know who my daddy is. And as long as I know that, I know that I could keep going. Doesn't mean everything's perfect. Absolutely not. But as long as I know that he goes before me and he's guiding me, I know that everything is going to work out. And so, what that means is God delivers you before destruction. Because when Joshua went to go get her, it was before the city was about to be destroyed. You don't have to die in what you're in. You can come out and make another choice. You don't have to die in the destruction. You can be freed. And that's what we're coming after. The healed you, the freed you, the liberated you, the strong you, the confident you. That is who God is saying, come out, right? And you don't have to collapse to be rescued. Because a lot of times, I'm going to tell you the truth. When I was going through my thing, I wanted God to do all the work. God, you fix it. Fix him. Fix the kids. Everybody. No, he was like, this is really about you. I had to do something. Like Rahab, I had to make a decision. What are you going to do? Are you going to stay here? Are you going to collapse to be rescued? I had to get up and make a hard decision. And it was hard, but it was the best decision. I can look back on it now. It wasn't then. It didn't make sense. I don't know what people thought about it, because when I thought about it, I was like, this is crazy. But I had to do what I needed to do to extricate myself out of a situation where, because sometimes you can't heal in a harsh environment. Sometimes you got to take yourself out of one place, put yourself in another, just so that you can heal, that those rough edges can be smoothed out, that those broken pieces of your heart can be put back together. It's like when they take you in after surgery, they put you in a recovery room. You need time to recover. You need time to catch your breath. You need time for your levels to even off before they move you to a regular room. So sometimes in life, that's what you have to do. I got to take myself out of one situation that's dangerous, that's not healthy for me spiritually, not healthy for me emotionally. Some of you may be stuck and trapped in some abusive relationships. Doesn't mean that it's physical. Maybe some of it is, but it could be emotional abuse that you just need to move yourself over here to recover. Let God breathe on you. Let God give you new strength, and then move on. So when you activate your faith, that's what faith does. It says, I'm not going to stay here. I'm ready so I can move on and recover. So here's what I want you to take away today, that God's deliverance comes before destruction, and you are worth rescuing. God's deliverance comes before destruction, and you are worth rescuing. He knows your address. He knows where you are right now. He sees the tears. He sees the pain. He sees those things you battle with in your mind that you don't even talk about with your friends. He says, I see you and I'm coming to rescue you. But what are you going to do when he comes? Well, I hope these things that I shared with you today on this first episode gave you something to chew on. I do want to leave you with a reflection prompt that I want you to consider. And here it is. It says, what wall has kept me hidden? And what does it look like for me to come out from behind it today? What wall has kept me hidden? And what does it look like for me to come out from behind it today? I want you to write it down. I want you to pray about it. And I want you to clear over yourself. Bring her out, because it's time to reveal you to you. You know, it's funny. 54. I had to think about it because, child, I'm telling you, being in your 50s, one thing go in my mind, another thing come out. But I'm 54. And this Quionne that came out, I'm feeling her. I like her. I've grown to accept who she is, flaws and all the heartache, all the pain, all the trauma, all the things that she's been through to make her who she is today. Oh, I'm feeling her. She's a shero. Because one thing I would tell you, I had to look back at my life, right? And I realized that broken hurt, Quionne, she was the one who started this journey. She was the one who took that first step to say, I need help and I have to get it in another place so I can heal. So I will always thank her. But there's another version in me still yet to be revealed, just like there's another version of you. And so that is why we're here at Bring Out the Woman. We're going to talk about different topics that will help you as you continue on your journey from coming out and introducing the world to this new you, the one that is on the inside, that is just burning to get out, that is going to heal people, encourage people, train people, instruct them, whatever it is. It'll make you a better mother, a better wife, right? It's made me a better pastor, more understanding, more empathetic, more authentic, because I know what I've been through and I know it was God that brought me out. So thank you so much. I want you to I want you to subscribe to my channel, and also share it with another sister that you think could find this kind of topic helpful, this podcast helpful, and something that will help you become the real you that's on the inside. Come from behind the wall and walk into your purpose. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you next time. And just make sure you subscribe and share with someone else. God bless you.